Hi, Mr. Gribbins. You're in here talking to us today about photography.
I am.
Can you start us off with the first question on what are some of the decisions you make as an artist?
Okay, so as an artist, as a photographer, the decisions that I make when I go out to take pictures are usually revolve around one of three questions that I ask myself when I'm out there with my camera. Am I trying to capture a moment of people doing things or a moment in the world, in nature, of life? Am I trying to capture what we call a candid moment, where it's not staged, but people are just interacting with themselves or their environment, and I'm trying to capture that moment to tell a story? Or am I trying to show something from a unique perspective, a unique angle, where I take something that maybe is an ordinary situation and I try to show it from a unique or new point of view? Or sometimes I try to do a third thing, which is I try to create something completely original, completely new, and I try to make people look at my image and ask themselves, how did he do that? How did he create that image? Those three things, those three questions that I ask myself, all then put me down a different path as an artist. So if I'm trying to capture that candid moment, then I'm just out with my camera and I'm just taking pictures, just trying to capture a moment naturally as it happens. If I'm looking for a unique perspective, then I need to put in a little bit more work and figure out how I can take a picture of something in a unique and new way. And the last way requires planning and setup. Sometimes other people are involved. That's usually where I have a vision in my mind of what I want the final product to be, and then I have to put in the work to get to that end point.
Okay, question number 2. How do you start your creative process?
So my creative process probably starts in two different ways. One way that I start is by looking at other artists. So typically that's photographers for me. So I'll look at other photographers' pictures. I'll look at what they're photographing. I'll ask myself, how did they do that? How did they get that shot? What kind of gear are they using? What kind of angles, exposures are they using? And I'll either try to copy or emulate that, or I'll just use that as inspiration for myself to think, if these people are out there doing this, then I can also be out there doing something that's just as great. The other way that I start the creative process is I either will just have an idea pop into my head, and I will try to fulfill that through taking a picture where I have an idea of what I want the final picture to look like, and I will try to go make that happen. Or sometimes it's just picking up my camera and just going out there and finding great things to photograph just in the moment. Those different ways of starting the process kind of relate to the first question there, where depending on what I'm trying to do with my camera, the creative process starts in a different place for me each time.
Can you take us through some of the steps and decisions in your creative process?
Yeah, sure. So for me as a photographer, I take a lot of pictures, but I don't necessarily keep all of them, especially with digital photography and the ability to take pictures and delete them. I definitely make a lot of mistakes in my creative process. I find that to get good pictures, I have to take bad pictures. So I learn from the bad pictures and then I try to take better pictures next time. For me, when I go out and take pictures, for maybe every 1,000 pictures that I take, I might keep maybe 100 of them and actually share 10 of those. For young photographers starting out, what I would recommend doing is going out and taking 10 pictures of your subject and keeping only 3 of them. So go take 10 pictures of something, your friend or a tree or a plant or the sunset, and keep 3 of them and delete the other 7 so that you free up that memory and you see the good ones. Look at those bad ones so you try to learn from them, but get rid of them and keep the good ones. As far as the creative process goes, I'm usually moving in and out of the creative process. So I might go and create something and then come back and reflect on it and then maybe go and share it. Or I might create something, come back and reflect on it, realize that I want to improve it, and then go back out and create again. Also jumping into exploring and experimenting with my camera, exploring the world and experimenting with how I take pictures, and imagining how I can take good pictures and imagining what the final product will be like, then going and creating, and maybe coming back and sharing. So for me, the creative process is a fluid movement throughout all of these steps, depending on what it is that I'm doing. And and what kind of a product I'm trying to create.
It sounds like you repeat a lot of the steps in your creative process. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I definitely repeat some of the steps, especially reflecting and creating. I will go take pictures of something, come back and reflect on it, and go take pictures of the same exact thing again. In between that, I might imagine something or explore new areas, but I will move back and forth between parts of this process. Exploring and creating definitely as well. I will go explore a new area that I've never been in. I will take pictures. I will come back, maybe go explore that area again. Sometimes I run out of time if I'm working with other people and I have to share things, but I definitely move back and forth in between these parts and in and out of them repeatedly before I get a final product that I'm happy with.
Do you think you create original ideas?
I do think I create original ideas. Maybe not always, but I do think that I have the ability as an artist to create original ideas, especially if I have a vision for an image that will take some work and a little bit of setup, and something that maybe people haven't seen before, something that's brand new. I believe that that's definitely creating an original idea. Even though other people may have taken pictures that are similar, I think that original creation is something that is part of my artistic process. Even if I'm taking an image of something that's very famous and well known that people have already photographed, you have different camera settings, different lighting, different angles, different perspectives, maybe a unique way to show something that people have already seen. So it might not necessarily be an original image, but the idea behind it and the emotion and the story that it will tell, I believe can still be an original idea from an artist and a viewer perspective.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Gribbins.
You're welcome.